The 7:45 a.m. train was late. Not a surprise. Delhi's winter mornings were always a mess of fog, honks, and frayed nerves. Nisha wrapped her shawl tighter and checked the time again. 7:52, she sighed. The digital clock blinked mockingly above the platform, each second dragging like wet clothes on a line. She wasn't late for anything urgent, just work, but today the delay felt heavier. Her breath clouded in the air, matching the anxious cloud in her head. Her coffee had spilled on the way out, her mother had snapped at her over nothing, and her phone was dying. She scanned the platform, trying to distract herself. A teenage girl in a school uniform leaned on a pillar, sobbing quietly, a torn file in her lap. No one noticed. A man in a cheap suit paced back and forth, muttering to himself. A couple argued in whispers, the woman clutching a baby that wouldn't stop crying. Then, across the tracks, she saw him. The same man she'd seen the past 3 Mondays. Always in a dark blue suit, always holding a briefcase he never seemed to open. But today something was different. He wasn't just standing, he was staring at the edge. Not like he was waiting, like he was weighing. Nisha's heart gave a quiet thud. Their eyes met, just for a second. His were dull, distant, but caught hers like a hook. He gave a faint nod. Not a greeting, more like an acknowledgement. Like saying, "You see it too, don't you?" A shrill horn cut through the air. Her train thundered into view, wind whipping through the station. People surged forward. Nisha hesitated, casting one last look at the man. He was still there, still staring. She stepped in. The doors slid shut behind her. The train jolted forward. 10 minutes later, her phone buzzed with a news alert.
Unidentified man jumps in front of train at Green Park Station. Services delayed. Identity not yet confirmed.
That could have been me,
she whispered. Nisha hadn't been able to focus all day. The news of the man at Green Park looped in her mind like background static. She hadn't known him. Not really. But that brief moment on the platform. His eyes had stayed with her. That night, she scrolled mindlessly through her phone, trying to block out the noise in her head. Instagram, Reels, WhatsApp forwards. Then a notification popped up. Friend request. Arjun Kapoor. Message.
I saw you on the platform Monday. You looked like you understood.
Her stomach dropped. She opened the profile. No mutual friends. No profile picture, just the gray silhouette. One post. A grainy sunset photo with no caption. She stared at the message. Was this some kind of cruel joke? Her thumb hovered over delete, but curiosity gnawed at her. You looked like you understood. What did that mean? She clicked accept. Within seconds, a message followed.
Sorry if this is weird. I don't usually do this. I've seen you before. On the 7:45. Mondays. You're always reading, but you don't look like you're really reading.
Nisha froze. That was accurate. She hadn't actually finished a book in weeks. She replied cautiously.
Why did you send that message?
His answer came quickly.
Because I saw you looking at the man. The one who didn't get on. I thought maybe you knew. Or maybe you've been where he was.
Nisha's fingers paused over the keyboard. She typed, deleted, retyped. Finally.
What do you mean where he was?
Was.
On the edge.
The words hit like cold water. She almost logged off, but something kept her there. A strange mix of fear and recognition. Over the next few days they spoke more. Not about work or hobbies, but about the fog that sometimes followed you home. About sleepless nights and questions with no answers. Arjun didn't pry. He didn't give advice. He just responded like he'd been in the same shadows. One night he typed.
I used to wait at that same platform. Same time. Every Monday. I stopped when it got too hard to stand so close to the edge.
Nisha stared at the message for a long time. She never asked what too hard meant. But she knew. Because a year ago, on a cold November morning, she'd stood on that same edge. And only a single call from her sister had pulled her back. It had been almost 3 weeks since that first message. By now, Arjun had become a fixture in Nisha's routine, a strange but comforting presence in the blue-lit nights when sleep refused to come. They never spoke on the phone, never exchanged photos, just long, slow conversations through chat. He had a way with words, precise, thoughtful. He never rushed to respond. He listened between the lines. They talked about things she hadn't admitted to anyone else. About the time she'd sat on her bathroom floor at 2 a.m., questioning her worth. About how pretending to be okay had become more exhausting than the pain itself. And Arjun. He talked about his own silences. How he'd moved cities, changed jobs, disconnected from old friends. He told her how people treated mental health like a phase. How being almost okay was sometimes worse than being broken. But then one Thursday evening, nothing. Nisha had messaged.
Rough day. Barely made it out of bed. You around?
No reply. She waited. Hours passed. The chat stayed marked as delivered. But no response. She tried again the next morning. Then that night. Then again. 3 days. Silence. Nisha scrolled back through their chat history, searching for signs, a hint, a goodbye, anything. But his last message had been simple.
Some days feel heavier. That's all. Talk tomorrow?
She hadn't replied immediately. Maybe if she had. By the 5th day, panic set in. She typed his name into Google. Arjun Kapoor, Delhi Metro. Nothing. Facebook, no other accounts. Instagram blank. LinkedIn unlisted. She opened his WhatsApp profile again. Display picture still blank. Status. Last seen 5 days ago. A knot formed in her chest. She didn't know his full name. Didn't know where he lived. Didn't even know if Arjun was his real name. That night, desperation pushed her onto a local community forum she barely used. One she had joined back when she still believed in finding flatmates through Facebook. She posted.
Has anyone heard of a man named Arjun Kapoor? Mid-30s maybe. Used to take the 7:45 metro. Wears a blue suit. Might be in trouble.
Most comments were useless. Oaks. Trolls. One person suggested she was being catfished. But then a message landed in her inbox. From Mira K94.
My brother's name was Arjun Kapoor. He died last September. Took his life. Green Park Station.
Nisha stared at the screen. Blink. Read. September. Green Park. That was the station. The same place she had seen the man on the tracks. But the man who had died last week, the one she thought might be Arjun, that wasn't him. A sick realization sank in. If Arjun had died last year, then who had she been talking to for the last 3 weeks? Nisha didn't remember walking home. Her hands trembled as she unlocked the door to her apartment, the soft click of the bolt echoing louder than it should. The message from Mira replayed in her head like a haunting refrain.
My brother's name was Arjun Kapoor. He died last September. Took his life. Green Park Station.
September. Green Park. She kicked off her shoes and sat on the cold floor, back against the wall. Her phone lay face down beside her, silent now, as if the ghost in it had finally gone quiet. She opened WhatsApp. The chat with Arjun was still there, but when she tapped it, a blank screen greeted her. This user no longer exists. Like smoke. She opened her gallery. Nothing. No screenshots of their conversations. She always took screenshots, but there were none. She checked her email, her cloud, her notes, nothing. It was like he had never existed. Her chest tightened. Was she losing her mind? Had she imagined all of it? She stumbled into her bedroom and yanked open the bottom drawer of her nightstand, the one with old letters, therapy notes, and the battered journal she hadn't touched in over a year. She flipped it open. Pages rustled like whispers. And then there it was. September 11th last year. There was a man on the platform today. Just standing. Not waiting. Like stone. I looked at him and he looked back. I don't know why, but something passed between us. Not a conversation. Just recognition. He nodded. I nodded back. Then my train came. Left. I remember thinking, what if he didn't? Her blood ran cold. She hadn't remembered writing that. She hadn't remembered him. But now, reading it, the face returned, faint like a half-formed memory. The same man. The blue suit. The blank eyes. Had she forgotten? Repressed it? Or had someone come back? Suddenly, the journal felt heavier in her hands. She flipped back a few pages, scanning old entries. Then forward. Nothing else about him. Just that one day. One memory. One nod. But over the past few weeks, she had spoken to him. She knew she had. He had known things. Personal things. Things she hadn't told anyone. She stared at her reflection in the dark window. The city lights blinked behind her, indifferent. Unless it wasn't about him. Unless it was about her. Was Arjun a ghost? A hallucination? Or a part of her own mind that had taken form when she needed it? A part that had once stood at the same edge. A part that had never truly walked away. 6 months had passed. Not all at once. Not in graceful, cinematic waves. But slowly in tiny, uneven steps. Like wading through mud on tired legs. Nisha now sat behind a plain desk in a quiet room with buzzing lights. The kind of room where silence is constant, except for the sound of ringing phones and breathing. She had joined a crisis helpline. Every call was anonymous. No names, just voices. Some trembling, some calm, some angry, some hauntingly familiar. When she picked up, she never said much. Just listened. Just stayed on the line. Because she remembered how the silence had felt when Arjun disappeared. She still didn't know who or what Arjun had been. A stranger. A memory. A part of her. Some nights she leaned toward the latter. Maybe he was her own unfinished thought. The version of herself that had stayed on the edge while she had stepped back. The version that hadn't made it. But he had helped her. Somehow. And now, when she spoke to strangers with voices soaked in the kind of despair most people ignored, she thought of him. Of that nod on the platform. Of that line he typed.
Some days feel heavier. That's all.
One evening, as the sun disappeared behind office blocks and the city swallowed itself in noise, Nisha stayed back after her shift. She pulled out her journal again. It had new entries now. Messier, less poetic. Honest. She flipped to a blank page and wrote.
Today, someone called. Said she was tired. Said she didn't see the point anymore. Said the world wouldn't miss her. I told her I understood. I didn't give advice. I didn't rush to save her. I just stayed.
She paused, then wrote.
Because someone once stayed with me. Even if I never knew if he was real.
She closed the journal and looked at her reflection in the darkened glass of the office window. She barely recognized the woman anymore. Not because she had changed on the outside, but because she had stopped pretending inside. There were still hard days. Still mornings where the weight returned. But now she knew the signs. She knew how to breathe through them. And more importantly, she knew someone else might be standing on that edge right now. Someone who just needed a nod. Voice. Was. She reached out and touched the window.
It could have been me.
She thought. And that was why she stayed.